Rick, I guess in a 12-day span, you guys lost to Florida by 26 and built a 26-point lead on Kansas. And I know there were certain situations to that. You were healthier the other night, but and I don't know if concern is too strong a word, but when you think about just how wide a variance those are from, and you talked about the energy level and the competitiveness, is that a concern that you can roll out two different performances like that?
Well, I think you're always concerned when you don't do the things that you feel like you're capable of, and but also know this, that old saying in coaching, you're never as good as you think you are, and you're probably never as bad as you think you are. And somewhere in the middle probably. But to answer that is that word consistency. Can we get consistent with it? Can we, again, when we've had everybody healthy, I think we've been better. I don't think there's any question about that. But even with that said, I think that we're a good enough team that we shouldn't get beat as badly as we did at Florida. I think that, again, so much of the game is mental, and you can get rocked back a little bit, and sometimes it takes you longer to get out of it. I know this, we cost ourselves in games because we would not shoot the ball, and that led to a lot of turnovers. And like I said, here against Mississippi State the other night, when I was talking about kind of the same situation you've asked me about, we finally started shooting the ball, and it didn't go in. But then the challenge was, would we continue to shoot it, open shots? And we did the other night against Florida, and I will be very disappointed. And I will tell you this too. I actually yesterday during film got on Santi about turning down some shots that he's got to take for us. And so the key going forward will be, if we do that, I think it takes a lot of pressure off, and you're not going to make them all. I mean, nobody makes them all against us, and we're not going to make them all. But I think we're all looking for consistency and from everybody. And I think that big a discrepancy, I can't tell you why it's like that, other than I know that it gets back to consistency.
Rick, what does a come to Jesus meeting look like with you?
Well, normally the way I talk about you, you know what? Honestly, Jimmy, I would like to think that our players know that we're going to be truthful, that we're going to coach them the way that we want them to be coached, and we're going to watch film. We're not going to hold back. We're going to, every game, we show them the good, the bad, the ugly. But I think that sometimes you've got to go deeper than that, where sometimes you revert back to experiences that you've dealt with in the past. And coaching is an everyday proposition. You can't ever think you're there. And so you get up every day with your mindset that, how can we get better, knowing that, this is what I do for a living. The guys that I coach want to do it for a living, but they have no idea what goes into that. So I do believe if you take days off trying to coach them and help them, I think it hurts them in the long run. But the biggest thing that you can do, and I think our players would tell you, is that I'm brutally honest. And sometimes I don't want to use the word harsh, but because sometimes the truth hurts. I mean, when you see it, but I'm not going to say anything to them, Jimmy, that I can't validate with the tape in terms of their effort, in terms of them not playing the role they need to play. And I mean, I can point it out to them, but that tape validates it. And it's like in the past, I said, I can arrest them. The tape charges them. And so that is something that, again, and I think our staff as a whole, we're very straightforward with them. And because I know this, the most important thing in life is truth. And I think as long as you're speaking truth, you're going to be fine.
Also, how do you balance wanting to play well right now versus wanting to peak at the end of the season?
Well, we showed them yesterday, and just like you would expect in the game the other night against Kansas, we did not execute particularly well to start the game, which I wasn't surprised because we had two freshmen out there that haven't been in that situation. And did we make some shots? We made some shots. But we talked about, if I said it once yesterday, I've said it 10 times, we've got room to get so much better. And so I don't think we're anywhere near peaking right now. still about us getting better, about certain guys still learning the offense, understanding what they need to do, spacing. I mean, I could go through the whole thing with you, Jimmy. It's just we can get so much better. And defensively, the other night, I thought we were really, really good. And where we've got to get consistent, again, we continue to build our defense, but offensively, and I'm not talking about making shots. When you're making shots like we did at the start of the game, it made everything look pretty. But from a technical standpoint, that's what it was. We made shots. And once the game settled down, we got back into where we were sort of executing what we wanted to get done.
Rick, I think Ball Hoops Twitter posted a video in the locker room after the game where you walked in and said, drew the line. What does that mean to your team? Where did that come from? And why was that something you guys accomplished?
It was about us. The line had nothing to do with anybody but us. The night before, we talked about things that we had to do within our own team work and the respect that they should. And this group of guys, that they love each other, they care about each other, but it's about the respect level within our team in terms of guys doing their job night in and night out, and it's basically accepting the role that they needed to play. And a lot of it was directed towards rebounding the basketball, because we had gotten our tails kicked rebounding and just not doing that job. And whether you want to call it toughness or technique, you call it anything you want to call it. But the fact is, it's a mindset. And we said we're going to draw the line, and we're going to find out who. And we've talked about it long enough. We've talked, and everybody says, you just have to do it. And it gets back, whether you're talking about whatever it takes is what it gets down to. Block your man out, go get the ball. We've got to rebound the ball. And drawing the line, what we're referring to is within our own team structure in terms of us proving to ourselves that we were tough enough to do it and capable of doing it.
Nicholas Hill, Grant Ramey, and Vince.
Coach, what are some of your initial impressions of your opponent tomorrow night, Ole Miss?
Your early impressions of Ole Miss.
Well, obviously, they've got almost a whole new team from a year ago. But if you know Kermit, his teams are defensively, and you go back to the beginning of the year playing great basketball. They are aggressive. They trap. They really work hard at turning you over, and they do a terrific job of getting into those turnovers into transition baskets. And they very active defensively, and I really like the way they run their offense with speed. And so every night we go out, it's a different opponent, but yet you've got to have the same mindset in terms of understanding you're playing against teams that are a team that's very well coached. They know what they're looking for, and he's going to have them ready to play. His teams always are ready to play, and we've got to be ready to step up and see that, again, if we can be consistent.
Rick, how fine is the line between the extra pass and passing up a good shot for a better shot and taking those open shots that you've been talking about the last couple of times out?
Well, first of all, Grant, I'd like to congratulate you. I got a text today that in Maryville today, it's Grant Ramey Day. How old are you today? It's a big birthday, and we're going to give you the key to the city. Is there any truth to that rumor?
Yeah, I'm 23.
23? So how many keys will they give you today? Because we know you're not 20. Hey, we know you act 23, but we'll let you get by with that. But are you excited about it? Do you have a speech already for the mayor and everybody?
Yeah, if my internet will work. I don't know. It's been going in and out.
How about would you be upset if we all came down and kept our, our social distancing? Would that be okay?
Yeah, come on down.
Or are you going to have a little reception afterwards? Or are you going to take us out to dinner?
Yeah, we can figure something out.
Okay. Tom, you going?
I'm going to pass.
Grant, if I didn't have to go to Oxford, I'd be there. I want you to know that because it's a big day down there.
Appreciate it.
The fine line between shooting the ball and the extra pass is obviously important if you, because we want as many uncontested shots as we can get. But what you don't want is an extra pass if you're a really good shooter, if you've got a good look at it, to a guy that's maybe not as good a shooter. But still, even with that, we'd rather a guy that's not a great shooter, unless it's an absolutely special situation, to get a cleaner look, because contested shots are hard to make. And we do want ball movement. We love assists. We love, what people call the Gretzky, the pass that leads to the assist. And when we're moving the ball like that, and Eve the other night did a great job where he passed the ball to BJ. BJ threw it back, and instead of shooting it, because he didn't quite catch it clean, he put it on the floor, 2 dribbles, and drove the ball. And that was a terrific basketball play. But we do want we just want high percentage shots and as many uncontested as we can get.
Rick, when you guys are in town, a lot of people have talked about how you really don't spend much time in your office, and that basically your office and your desk was that folding table there in Pratt. In this COVID season, where are you? Is it the same? Do you spend more time at home? What's that like in your adjustment to that?
No, I don't spend more time at home. It's different here. Like if you guys walked in our locker room, it doesn't look anything what it looked like a year ago. If the women aren't playing here, we do most of everything in the Ray Mears room, and as much as we can. Most guys now, where we in the past might sit around and eat, maybe now most of them carry the food back, except the night before the game when we come back for our meeting prior to the game every night. We're in Ray Mears, and we don't use our film room, so we haven't been in our film room since we got back from Nashville back in the spring, and all the furniture was taken out of the lounge, and we're in there. We got dividers up in the lockers, those type things, and we really do try to do everything that we can that way. But still, is sitting like today. I'm here, walk through the locker room. When we finish up, I'll go sit at the court at Thompson Bowling Arena. I'll be there. If we do go up and practice in Pratt, we're normally up. We're up there. But other than just the way the locker room is set up, not much has changed in terms of the way I do things. The way I think our guys really miss the lounge. I will tell you that. I do. I think they really miss, because it had become a home for them, and where they would love to hang around, fly around, and be together. And obviously, we've encouraged them not to do that as much as possible. But that's the biggest difference. Just because my favorite time with them, honestly, is before practice, before we get started, and after practice, when they're getting ready to eat, where they would be in there eating. I always hung out until the very end, because really I love being around them, and I get to cut up with them and kid with them, even if I've gotten on them in practice, But it's just, that's probably the biggest adjustment we've had to make is what has gone on in our locker room.
Rob Lewis, Jimmy Himes, Mike Wilson.
Coach, how pleased were you with Olivier the other night? He got 15 minutes most of the year. And do you feel like that's kind of going to be your rotation going forward? Have you shortened the bench officially, or was that a one-game deal?
No, Olivier did okay. I put him in, and when I took him out, he took 2 shots, and I said the first one wasn't a good shot. Second one, I get it, but I said that's not why I'm taking you out. We talked the night before that, and you said to me that your number one job was to play defense and rebound. In that short span of missing those 2 shots, you gave up 2 baskets. Not easy ones, but he could have guarded better. And he actually did when he went back in. And, we think that Olivier can score. I do think the more he's out there, the more comfortable he will get mentally, probably more than anything. And I still think we're going to play 11 people, Rob, going forward. I do. We still have confidence in EJ and Urosh. Those guys will continue. We want those guys to play. Ticket, however number you want to go down, but it's hard to get beyond that, 10, 11 guys. It really is, because we're still trying to get the consistency going. And I said the other night to someone that, we had planned on really starting the younger guys a couple of weeks back, but we couldn't do it because of injuries, and I haven't gotten a report today on Eve. I don't know exactly what his status is. And we've been hit with that all year, where our practices haven't been where we can get everybody out there in practice to start getting that rhythm that we want to get. But that's what, with this group of guys, we continue to work with them, and they continue to work hard, knowing that when their number's called, they've got to be ready, and it's hopefully the opportunity they've been waiting on, and they can do something with it. And we talk to our guys, you know, the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th guys that, hey, they're the ones that have to change the lineup. It's not going to be us. They're going to have to do it with what they do in practice day in and day out. And we do want to keep the minutes down. I mean, in a perfect world, I'm saying this, and I'm sure it's hard to do, but we like to keep everybody under 30 minutes in the game. You know, we feel good about guys playing 28 minutes, 29, somewhere in there, and we think they're all much more effective when they can do that. But for us to do that, we've got to get to consistent play from our bench.
Rick, you shot extremely well against Kansas, 2-point range, 3-point range. Do you think that was simply a product of shot selection?
I think it has a lot to do with it, Jimmy. I do. I think shot selection. I think it goes back. We use the term, you know, when we're working on our individual skill work and daily vitamins. We talk about, you know, game shots, game speed, game spots, and that's what we want to see. And the other night I felt like guys were a little bit more calm with the ball. I like the fact that Eve Pons and Josiah James got the ball down, got themselves in triple threat position, and raised up and shot it. And I think that's a great way to shoot a three, and especially because I know how much time those guys have put in doing just that, as opposed to sometime when the ball gets swung to them, they feel like they got to shoot it quick, or they're maybe thinking swing. We all just want guys to do what they practice. And we want to come within the framework of our offense. And we feel like our guys know what we're trying to get done. Now, we did isolate a little bit more the other night. You know, we had some isolation plays that we went to that we like, and it plays into those guys, again, doing what they practice.
Also, the SEC beat the Big 12 5-4. What kind of a statement do you think that was for the league?
Well, I think it's important, Jimmy, because, you know, everybody every year has their opinion. You know, the narrative is that, you know, the Big 12, the Big 10's got the best leagues right now going. And I think the fact is that we did have an opportunity to go head to head, and we came out on top. So, yeah, I think it helps our league. I think it helps the perception of our league. And if that's what it matters. But I also think this time of year it's very important the teams that are fighting to get into postseason play, that because every game is being closely watched. They always are, but maybe more so this year than ever because of the fact that some teams aren't going to play as many games as others. But I think it was, again, I told someone after the game, all day long when I'd bump into people, they were talking about the excitement of watching all these games on TV. It felt like an NCAA tournament day, and because there was games going on all day long, and there were some terrific games, obviously, and so I think for our league it was great. It's only the second time I think that we've been able to win the challenge, and so that's good for us.
Rick, I was just wondering if you had any good John Chaney stories. I don't know how many times you got to coach against him, but figure you guys crossed paths a few times over the years.
Well, you know what? I did get it. It was a blessing to get to meet him, and I was able to be around him and hear him some. And you know, he was just a lovely person in terms of, you know, he was always the same every time I was with him, and he always treated me very nice. Where I've gotten to know him more without him even knowing it is through Dan Liebervich, who you guys know is our associate commissioner in charge of basketball in the SEC. Worked for him, and Dan loved him. I mean, and the stories that I would ask Dan about him. How did Coach do this, do that? And Dan, he said something, and I think this is so true of Coach Chaney. He said, did he want to win? Was he innovative in some things he did with his own and all that? Yes, he was. But from the beginning, if you were a student and an athlete in his program, it was all about one thing: getting an education. And he didn't just say it; he drove it into his players. And when Dan and I were, you know, back and forth with text, he said he doesn't care what anybody else said. No one cared about their players more than him in terms of wanting them to create a better life for themselves by taking advantage of the opportunity that they were given through basketball. And we lost a giant in the business, and I don't think there's anyone that's ever been in the business as long as we have. And he came through a time when there weren't that many black coaches, and you go back. Someone told me the other day he was Public Player of the Year back in the day, and probably what, no doubt it wasn't probably to it. He wasn't recruited the way that a player of that stature should have been recruited, but yet he made the best of it. And you look at the legacy that he's left behind, and I say it often, he definitely left things so much better than he found it. And he has been just terrific for the game of college basketball.
Dave Foster, Vince, and Rob Lewis.
You were mentioning Kermit Davis and his teams just a little bit ago, and he was the longtime coach at Middle Tennessee, obviously. He's been around the game for a long time like you have. What's your relationship with Kermit been like over the years?
Kermit is, to me, one of those guys, first time you meet him, you feel like you've known him your whole life. And, he's always had a, pleasant personality with me. And obviously I've kept up with Kermit just because everybody, from the time he's been in coaching, everybody knew he was a terrific basketball coach and did an incredible job at Middle. And what I love, there's a lot of things about Kermit that I really like because I think he's real. But, when he left Middle, very few coaches would say what he said in terms, he said, hey, this is a total rebuild. Most coaches would not want to say something like that. And so that, again, tells you, I think, how secure he is and who he is and what he does and X and O wise. And everybody, knows how good he is there and the job he's done everywhere. And he's built programs and he's doing the same thing at Ole Miss.
Rick, Josh Heupel was at Saturday's Kansas game. Did you get a chance to talk to him, and have you formed any opinions of him early on?
I like him a lot. I met him when we were in the football locker room. First day he was here, and he was standing by the court when I walked on it the other night. But just spending time with him a very little bit. A lot like Danny White. What I like about both of those guys, it takes me back to when I was at Providence or Clemson those days, and where they just want a chance to come into a situation where they can make it better. And I'm impressed with the fact that they think that they've got a great job and that they know what this place can be, and they want to be a part of bringing it back to where we all want it. And I can only speak from when I was at that age. That you're not afraid to compete. And I don't think these guys are going to be afraid to compete. I think they're going to get in the fight, get us in the fight, and that's what we all want. But just being around him, both he and Danny, I'm really impressed with their fire, their enthusiasm, and the fact that they're excited to get things done.
Coach, in the past couple of weeks, you've been pretty vocal about need more from Eve, need more from Fulke. Saturday night, is that kind of what you were looking for out of your two seniors?
It goes back, again, talking about drawing the line. It was directed at those guys quite a bit, to be honest with you, and I thought both of them really responded in a great way because of what we expected from them from the get-go. And I thought that they did exactly what we need them to do. And so it goes back, we've got to do it again and again and again until we're finished.
Coach, before we started today, you had mentioned that we need a nickname for Jimmy Himes. We're going to go to him next, but I think a good nickname might be Double Dipper because he's been asking a lot of two-part questions here today.
Well, I just like Jimmy Dot, Jimmy Dot Himes, Jimmy Dot Himes, That's your middle name, Jimmy? Dot, D-O-T? I had an aunt, Dottie.
My mother was named Dot. That's why I use it.
Dot, who was Dot? Your mom was?
My mother was named Dot, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. See, Jim, you need to take us deeper into some of your thoughts so that we can know these.
Well, one of these days, I hope I have a day for me like Grant Ramey does. That's my goal.
With Grant, well, first of all, I didn't tell you this. I just got another text from the mayor of Maryville. He's actually paying for that day.
Oh, yeah.
He's paying for it. So it wasn't like that. It was his idea.
I funded the parade.
I just have one question this time. You out-rebounded Kansas 38-23, and I don't think you did well against them on the boards last year. What was the key to that?
Well, through the game, I kept thinking to myself, they didn't send as many to the glass for some reason. Even watching the tape, they weren't. And I looked at many times. We had 5 guys around there going to get it. Where I talked again, we told him the night before, I don't care who gets it, go get the ball. You know, Santi had a great night on the glass. We were down there where we had some good blockouts. We again, nothing's perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but we had some guys doing it. Our guards coming down to clean it up and get it and go with it. But looking at the again, I don't know if that was by design. I don't, but they weren't sending as many guys as normally when we play Kansas that they do, and maybe it had something to do with foul situation. I don't know, but I just like the fact that a lot of clips, we had 5 guys around the basket ready to go get it.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.